In this video, we will install Microsoft Visual Studio, configure it for use with fundamentals of microprocessors, and write our first program. Start by opening a web browser and go to the Microsoft Visual Studio page at https://visualstudio.microsoft.com. Once the page has loaded, at the top of the page, click on Free Visual Studio. This is the community version of Visual Studio and can be downloaded for free. A Visual Studio community version is available for both Windows and Mac computers. Click the free download below the appropriate version for your computer. For these videos, I will be using the Windows version of Visual Studio. Once the download has finished, run the downloaded program and Visual Studio Installer will download the next set of installation files. This will take some time, so please pause the video until the download has completed. Once this download is finished, the configuration page will be displayed. Look for the section labeled Desktop and Mobile. Click the checkboxes next to .NET Desktop Development and Desktop Development with C++. Then click Install. The installer will now download and install the files needed for Visual Studio. This will take a long time, and you may be asked to reboot your computer when this is finished. Pause the video, and I will see you here after the installation is complete. It's now time to run Visual Studio for the first time. Once Visual Studio starts, you will be greeted with a welcome screen. Click the Sign In button to continue. On the Microsoft Sign In, email and password screens, enter your Valencia College email address and your password, then click the Sign In button. After a few moments, you will see the screen to select your environment and choose your color theme. Make sure General is selected for development settings. Choose a different color theme if desired, and then click Start. In a few moments, Visual Studio will be configured and ready for use, and we will create our first project. The first project we will create will be a template that will be used as a starting point for future programs you will write for this course. To begin, click on Create a New Project. At the top of the right column, change the first drop-down from All Languages to C++. Then search the list of project types for C++ Empty Project and highlight it. Finally, click Next. On the Configure Your New Project page, you may either keep the suggested project name or enter a name. I will use the suggested name Project 1 for this project. Press the Create button and your project will be created. You are now looking at the Visual Studio development environment. We will now prepare and configure our first program as our assembly language template. On the right-hand side of the screen, locate the Solution Explorer panel and right-click on the project name. Click on Build Dependencies, then Build Customizations. Then in the pop-up window, check the box next to MASM and finally click OK. This configures your project as a Microsoft Macro Assembler project. We will now add the actual program template file to our project. In Solution Explorer, right-click on Source Files, then Add New Item, then in the pop-up window, highlight C++ file in the list. Change the file name from source.cpp to main.asm, and finally click Add to add the file to our project. The large window now visible is where the code for our programs will be located, and this is where we will create our assembly language template. The template will be listed in your lab manual, but I would recommend not cutting and pasting so you will have experience with the layout of the lines. Please pause the video here and enter the lines for your template. Although the lines of the program will be discussed in more detail as the course progresses, here is a brief explanation of each line. Lines beginning with a semicolon are comments to make your program more understandable. .model flat defines the type of memory model to be used for our program. .data is the beginning of the data segment where the program data will be stored. .code is the beginning of the code segment. This is where we will write our programs. Lines 5 through 17 are the main procedure, which will be executed when our programs run. Line 5 contains the label main followed by PROC, indicating the beginning of the main procedure. Line 17 contains the same label followed by ENDP, indicating the end of the main procedure. Lines 7 through 10 simply set the EAX, EBX, ECX, and EDX registers to 0 so they have a consistent starting point. The area between lines 11 and 15 is where we will write our future programs. Line 16 is the last line of every program. The RET, or return instruction, gives control back to the underlying operating system. This is a good time to click on the double disk icon, Save All, to save all changed files. Now right-click on the main ASM file in Solution Explorer, then click Properties and confirm that item type is set to Microsoft Macro Assembler, then click OK. Finally, in Solution Explorer, right-click on the project name, then Properties. In the pop-up window, double-click on Linker, then Advanced. To let the compiler know that we wish to execute our main procedure when our program runs, we will type main after entry point, then click OK. Click the double disk icon to save your changes. Now we will save this project as a template so it won't be necessary to repeat this process for every program you will write. Click on Project, then Export Template, then select the Project Template radio button. Make sure the correct project name is displayed in the drop-down, then click Next. Give your template a recognizable and descriptive name. In my case, I am using x86 MASM template, since this is the template for x86 Microsoft Macro Assembler programs. Finally, uncheck the checkbox for Display in Explorer window on the Output Files folder and click Finished. Now that our template has been created, we will use it to create our first program. Our first program will simply add two numbers together in one of the registers. Then we will view the contents of the register to confirm it matches the expected result, the sum of the two numbers. First, we will close Visual Studio and relaunch it to begin. On the Getting Started pop-up window, the left side now shows our recently opened projects. On the right side, click Create a New Project. Change the top drop-down from C++ back to all languages, and you should see the template we created at the top of the list. If you do not see the template, you can use the scroll bar to locate the template or begin typing its name in the search bar. Highlight your template and click Next. Give your project a name. I'm calling mine Add Two Numbers. Then click Create. Once the development environment opens, if our file main.asm is not displayed, locate it in the Solution Explorer and double-click to open. This is the starting point for all MASM programs we will write for future assignments. By saving this project as a template, all the previous configuration settings have been saved and migrated to this project. The program we are about to write will have only 2 lines and will begin on line 13, where we currently have a comment, Add your program code here. Highlight the text on line 13 and delete it. The first line is MOV space AX, 5. This line instructs the computer to move the value 5 into the AX register. The second line is add AX, 3, which instructs the computer to add 3 to the value already in the AX register. The AX register was initially set to 0, then changed to 5, and finally should be 8. Let's confirm this. Click Build, then build solution. In the lower output window, we will see that the build process succeeded. If your build fails, check your code for errors or typos. Now we need to use the debugger to verify the contents of the AX register. The first step is to add a breakpoint at the place where we want the program to pause so we can view the current state of the registers. We will add our breakpoint at line 17. Click in the gray bar to the left of 17 and a red dot will appear, indicating the presence of a breakpoint. Now let's view the registers at our breakpoint. Click Debug, then Start Debugging, and our program will run and pause before line 17. To see the registers, click Debug, then Windows, then Registers. Initially, the register display spans the top of the main area. To resize the window, click and drag the double arrow between the main and register windows. Or, click and drag the register's title bar to pop the window to the front, then resize it to your liking. Looking at the EAX register, the right half is the AX register, and it shows 0008, the expected result of 5 plus 3. Finish by clicking the red Stop Debugging icon, make sure your files are saved, exit Visual Studio, and close the command line window if it's open. That's it for this video.